Nowadays, if you borrow money from a Christian, they are going to come to you for it. And if you don't have it, they're going to tell you which psalm they're going to read for you. Well, with a worldlian, they are more likely to say, okay, let me get it as soon as you can. I mean, if you step on a Christian store, it's some psalm, some book they're going home to read for you. While you step on a worldlian too, and probably not even say sorry, he's going to maybe no notice or whatever. So, what's really happening? What is really happening? I'm Dick Lee, and this is religious reasoning. For the longest time, I've been saying this. The message of Christ is lost on Christians. Is lost on Christians. I hear Christians talking about their enemies and they want their enemies to bite the dust and their enemies must fall and they're waiting on God to do away with their enemies. Is that what Jesus taught? I mean, let's look at what we saw. Action, the attitude, the example that Jesus set. When the soldiers came for Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, and Peter chopped off the man's head, the soldier's head. What did Jesus do? Jesus could have just said, oh, yeah, man, that's fair to you. What did he do? He put on back the man's head and heal the man and have the soldiers arrest him. Which Christian nowadays would do that? Which Christian? He even told Peter, if you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword. What we see Christians doing is they say, okay, that one has done me wrong. What psalm should I read for that one? I'm going to read a psalm to confuse the judge. So when I'm going to win my court case, and what it amounts to is, in my opinion, favoritism. Yes, I have to admit, I've seen favoritism in God, based on what is in the Bible. No, maybe there is something. I mean, God has seen the bigger picture, but so probably, well, he's seen the biggest picture because he's seen everything. So probably, for example, Israel. I think Jacob became Israel, but Jacob was a trickster. But God needed Jacob for some reason, and that is why he showed favoritism. But we are seeing favoritism, and people are still asking God to have favoritism. Because if I read read people pray to win competitions and that sort of a thing. I don't believe in those things. I don't believe that anyone should pray to win a competition or to get a job, to get a specific job. You can pray, okay, God, please let me get a job, any right, any job. But to go to a specific interview and say, God, please let me get this job. And I think that's kind of wrong. Here's why. Because if 6 person interview for the same job, and all 6 of them are Christians, from whether common or different denominations, right? And they all have strong faith. No, if all of them pray to God and say, okay, God, please let me get this job. No, you are forcing God, in my opinion, you are forcing God to say which one of these Christians who are doing my will I love the most. So which one of them should I give this job? What I think would be better, or for example, let's look at Usain Bolt. Say Usain Bolt never trained a day in his life, and then he pray to God and say, God, let me win this race, and he won the race. Wouldn't that be unfair to Tyson Gay and Safa Powell, Johan Blake, and all the rest who actually had to spend time training, right? Had to spend hours up sore muscles and all these things. What I think would be a better prayer is for you to do your best. That way, if you're doing your best, if your best is better than somebody else, then obviously you will come out victorious. But I do not believe that people should be praying to be successful because it's one God and we all share Him. It's not like, okay, you have a God for yourself, so your God can be selfish to you. It's one God for everybody, right? Now, the psalm business, we see, I mean, yes, a psalm like, God, keep me, going out and going in. That's okay. And I'll tell you why that's okay. Because you're asking for protection from whatever may come, whether a car accident or whatever may come. That's okay. But to ask God in today's world, after you have seen the example of Jesus, I mean, before, let's wait a second. Let's just talk about this. The example of Jesus now, you have seen that. It is your purview now to ensure that you follow this example. And this example is forgiveness. Forgive so that you may be forgiven. Right? And so now, next thing, what about before Jesus? Yes, we had people with these psalms because if you notice, psalm come before Jesus um was born. So these psalm now that people are reading for this purpose or that purpose or the other purpose, they were there before. Now, what happened is that Jesus came to spread love, but in that time, they did not understand that they should love their enemies and do good to those who hate them. Right? Love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. But what we see Christians doing? Hating people who they claim are their enemies and reading Psalms to get rid of them. So we ask ourselves about Obeahman. We hear him, a very popular term in Jamaica, is a form of witchcraft practiced in Jamaica by various people. I cannot point out anyone as I do not know. But let's think about it. What is Obeah? Obeah is basically witchcraft that uses the Bible to cause harm on your enemies or tie your man, stuff like that. So, aren't all Christians Obeah workers? Because they are using the Bible to harm your neighbors. When the Bible says, love your neighbors like how you love yourself. So, you're saying, okay, if yourself did offended you, you would read a psalm for yourself. I don't see that happening, which tells me that Christians, people who call themselves Christians, have lost the meaning, the essence of why Christ really came. They are not showing any love. If anything, they are showing hate, right? And we also see where Christians are of the opinion that this world, they say they are in the world but not of the world, but they seem to think the world belongs to them. Where we see them thinking that, okay, if it's a gospel song, we can turn it up as high. We don't need to ask anybody any question. And that is a lie. That is a lie because I have not heard a gospel song that was recorded after maybe the 90s. I've not heard a gospel song. I've heard dancehall. I've heard hip hop. I've heard a lot of songs with with a God-based theme, but that's not gospel. You Christians need to stop lying. That's not gospel. Gospel is gospel. R&B is R&B. Dancehall is dancehall. Reggae is reggae. So you guys need to wake up and smell the coffee, right? And try and remember why Jesus came. Jesus came for you to love your neighbor and for you to learn how to turn the other cheek. So if somebody offend you and you offend them and they didn't think they offend you originally, then they are going to offend you and then you are going to say, oh, how dare he offend me after I offend him, after he offend me, and then we have a cycle. And then probably you were the one who actually offended the person first and you didn't even realize. So you are there saying, okay, he offended me, so I'm going to offend him back. And we have a cycle. And this is what we see. So a lot of people who say they are Christians are more worldly than actual worldlians, right? Another thing, what about good deeds? A lot of people saying, okay, good deeds can't take you to heaven. But we see a lot of Christians who aren't actually doing good deeds. They do not they do not care about anyone but themselves. They don't they don't share with the less fortunate or anything like that. So what purpose do they serve? They don't help out society. They're talking about sowing seeds like they're farmers or something. Lots of Christian we see this happening where pastors are telling people to sow a seed and sow a faith seed and you will be rewarded this, that and the other thing. That is just robbery. That is just robbery. And here's why. Because, alright, let's say let's say somebody wanted me to plant $100,000 seed, and I had $100,000, and they said I'm going to get X, Y, and Z. I would want that in writing, and I want a time frame. And if that time frame pass, I'm going to sue that person. You know why? Because these people need to stop lying to people and saying this, that, and the other thing. They need to stop lying to people and stop playing God. These pastors have eliminated God from the churches and are now evaluating and coming up with their opinion of what God thinks. Right? No longer is it open your mouth and I'll fill it with words. These mouths are already filled with words and their pockets are filled with the money from God's church. And I mean, we need to deal with this kind of situation. Now, I could go on all day, but I have to pause here. I am Dick Lee, and this was religious reasoning. You know what to do. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you dislike it, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.